Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Sost, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you so much for tuning into today's episode.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Chris with the Gig Economy Lounge here, coming to you with another episode of the Gig Economy Lounge. And today we're going to be talking about the myths, the hardships, the ugly, ugly truth that is rideshare in 2019. I'm just kidding. I mean, that's what we're going to talk about today, but I'm not going to talk about it in some evil way. So I'd like to preface this entire conversation with two rules. Rule number one in rideshare is you do not work for, in any shape or fashion, for Uber and Lyft. You're not employed by, you do not work for Uber or Lyft or any of these app-based companies. You do not work for them. And rule number two to rideshare is don't ever forget rule number one. Now that we've got that basic premise out of the way, I wanted to do this topic because there's a lot of talk on social media, and I don't like typing. I much rather just, put 20, 30 minutes aside and just talk out my ideas rather than trying to type them and trying to combat people and all that happiness. So they're passing. There was a ruling in California 3 years ago, and now they're in the process of making it the law of, well, not the land, but just the land of California, which one of these days will actually fall off into the Pacific Ocean. And the United States can get rid of that weight. But, until then, basically, it states that, they're going to have their own new litmus test for who is and who is not an independent contractor based on California standards, which, as you know, California has very special standards for everything, which is why you have to earn a boatload of fucking money to even step foot in the state. So that's why I love, my beachfront view from one of the most beautiful beaches in all of the United States here in Clearwater, Florida, at literally a fraction of the cost and no state income tax, and our gas is cheaper here. And did I mention there's no state income tax and our sales tax is low? Come on down to Florida. It's open for business. I'm actually welcoming Uber and Lyft down here right now. Come on down. Fuck the state of California. The state of Florida would love you. The state of Texas would really love you as well. I think Tennessee would love you. There's a few other places you got options. But to keep moving, anyways, they've came up with this special litmus test for independent contractors. And basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to convert or give the Uber and Lyft drivers or app-based contractors in California some sort of employment rights. I don't know what those look like. I just know that anytime that the government gets involved, it's guaranteed that they're going to fuck it up. And that's not my opinion. That's history. I'm sorry. Like, if I can come to a common agreement with somebody, like that means something. But as soon as a third party has to get involved and force somebody else's will on another person, it just doesn't tend to work very well. But, Uber and Lyft, they've fought this to a certain extent. They haven't fought it really hard. And that just makes me believe that they have something up their sleeve. So the one thing that I've learned, especially about Uber over the years, is they don't ever play every card they have. They always leave something back. It's just a sort of like a way to be like that last aha, like somebody makes the last move and then Uber drops that last card on them like, ha, you thought you won, but we got it back. So I wanted to talk to everybody else in every other state, outside of California, about how to possibly best utilize Uber and Lyft, and more importantly, understand where you are as a person. So I'm gonna just divert here for 1 second and talk to you about a similar situation where about 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I went into sales for the first time, and I got licensed as a health and life insurance agent and went to work for a company that was 100% commission-based. No base pay, no draw. If you did not sell, you did not earn that week. And it took me about 3 weeks. I went 3 weeks without making a single sale, which means I went 3 weeks without making a single penny. And I spent a lot of money during that time period. And I learned a lot as an individual. And I made a promise to myself after that 3rd week that I would never in my life ever go without making money ever again. And I've kept my promise to myself, knock on wood, up till this point. So I got pretty darn good at it. And I started to excel really fast, went way up into the company, and I was managing a branch of about 85 to 110 independent agents, all 1099. They didn't earn anything unless they sold something. So what ended up happening is I had to do what they called a career briefing once a week, where basically new people came in and checked out the opportunity to become a insurance agent. And it wasn't a part of the script, but I made sure to start off every single career briefing with, if you're looking for stable income, this is probably not for you. If you are used to calculating your earnings per hour, this opportunity probably isn't for you. If you need a stable check to provide for our family week to week, this opportunity probably isn't for you. I gave full disclosure up front about it because, let's just face it, I knew that I couldn't necessarily go out and get all these new agents sales. You know, a lot of them were going to have to go out there on their own and get their very first sale. So I learned really quickly where most of society was in terms of employment mindsets. So when it came to me, you know, walking away from insurance and taking a break, and then, you know, obviously I found Uber in 2014. For me, it was a great fit. I didn't care, you know, they cut rates in late 2015, early 2016. I think they even cut it in mid 2015. I can't remember exactly when, but I remember not bitching about it. Like where I came from, like the industry that I came from, the situation that I came from, you know, insurance companies change commission rates all the time. So if you sold a Medicare supplement this month, you know, you got 26%, but next month it very well could be 18%. You know, it was up to the company where those commission percentages went. So, you know, everybody out there that go, oh, you know, to name a position where you lose pay over time. The insurance industry, that's where they change commissions when the company feels like it. They don't give a fuck what you think as an insurance agent. They're going to change that shit whether you like it or not. So we'll keep moving. So for me, you know, as things transpired the way they did, obviously I got frustrated, but I continued to adapt. And more importantly, as I saw the trend of lower and lower rates, obviously I started to explore other options. So I started, you know, putting out a ton of content. Well, I didn't know it was a ton of content, but at the time, for the time, it was a ton of content, you know, in regards to helping out drivers. And I found other means of employment over the time period. Continue to do rideshare to this day. You know, after that employment, you know, I found out that, you know, I needed to go out and start my own business to where I didn't have to answer to anybody but myself. Which leads into this next part, because it was a beautiful part of the article. The article says the algorithms are your boss. Horseshit! The algorithms are not your boss. They are simply there as a means to make the dispatch service more efficient. That's what they do. Now, why I've continued to believe Uber is a technology company, not a transportation company, is because of the way they've developed AI to work for them. It's amazing. The amount of data that Uber is collecting right now is fucking insane. Think about every move you make on their app, they're recording it. They are recording your actions. They are recording the rider's actions. And last year, there were 6 billion fucking bookings on Uber. 6 billion bookings worldwide on the Uber platform. Do you have any idea how much data that is? That's a ton. And guess what? They're going to do even more bookings this year. So yes, AI is not your boss. AI is just simply learning what the fuck you're doing. So think about it as think about Uber and Lyft's algorithms, quote unquote algorithms, as a never sleeping, never resting fucking like psychologist / therapist. Like they know everything that you do, and they can predict with relative certainty how you would act over time. So if you're a new driver, obviously, they don't know anything about you. And here's where I started to pick that up at. I started looking, I remember, as a new driver, I was getting a ton of requests. I mean, I don't believe that I was actually getting more requests. However, I wasn't being selective in the requests. So I just accepted and drove, accepted and drove, accepted and drove. And over time, my mind obviously started to dissect how things were going, and I started making changes. Well, Uber recorded those changes. And over time, the amount of requests that I am getting now is less. And rightfully so. My acceptance rate on Lyft this week, I think, is like 5%. My phone is right here. Hold on. Let me take a look. On Uber, I think it's like 52% or like, I don't know. I think 48% on Uber, and on Lyft, let's take a look. It was 7% this morning. So go into dashboard. Oh man, it's up to 10%. So my acceptance rate on Lyft is 10%, and my acceptance rate on Uber is 43%, 48%. So Uber and Lyft, they're not stupid. They're figuring out what I'm doing. They're figuring out the amount of time that transpires between the time that I get a request and the time that I accept it, and then the amount of time that transpires between the time I accept it and the time I move towards that pickup location, how long it takes for me to get there. And they record every piece of data about that trip that I selected. At the same time, they collect all the data on all the trips that I decline or I don't accept. And from there, they can create the most efficient networking platform available. So Uber and Lyft's algorithms, they're not your boss. They're not controlling you. They're acting off of your own actions. Like, don't get pissed off because a computer figured out what the fuck you've been doing this entire time and is now planning accordingly. Like, don't get pissed off at them. Are you pissed off at Google because, like, when you say something, it turns up in your fucking search results the next time? No. Or, maybe you say something with your phone open and then all of a sudden when you open up Facebook, there's an ad for it. Do you get mad at them? No. Like, this is technology in 2019. Do you think Uber and Lyft aren't going to use it to their advantage? They see the highest ride requests. They see the highest customer satisfaction when people show up the quickest. So if you're the type of driver that consistently sits there a few minutes before you head towards a pickup location, it doesn't matter for what. You could be in the bathroom, you could be in the restaurant, you could be in Starbucks, you can be at home. Uber and Lyft need to take that into account the next time that they send you a request. If they don't, then they're just shooting themselves in the foot. So they have to adapt. So I found it kind of, so I have empathy for the guy in the article. He has a family to provide for, which is why, I brought up in the beginning of the conversation that people in that situation, commission-based pay is not the most ideal because you will turn molehills into fucking mountains. When it's really not that big of a deal. And rightfully so. You have like a million different things on your mind. Like you have to pay for your kids' fucking daycare. You have to pay for the food that sits on the table. You have to pay the light bill. You have to pay the electric or the cable bill. Then you have to pay the rent. Then you have to, like, all these different things are going off, right? So it makes it infinitely more stressful. So for the guy in the article that had 3 different phones, one for Uber, one for Juno, and one for Lyft, it's not the algorithms that's his boss. It's the thing that he created in his own mind. That's his boss. Like, his stress is his boss. And I hate to say this, but welcome to being self-employed, or heaven forbid if you start a business. Like, it's fucking stressful. It never gets easy. Like, if you want an easy job, right, you have to figure out what out there is easy, and you're going to get paid accordingly for it. There's tons of people who work inside of retail that, like, literally are, not everybody, so I'm not generalizing, but there are people that are in retail positions that, like, literally zone out the entire time they're at work. They earn $10, $11, $9, $13 an hour. They zone the fuck out. They do what they have to do to keep their job, and they keep moving. They pay their taxes, and they keep moving. Things like Uber, Lyft, driving for Amazon Flex, tackle anything that's app-based where you are the ultimate person in control, like you call the shots. You have to learn how to own your own fucking mistakes. Like, I believe that I stayed full-time in rideshare probably 6 months longer than I should have. I own that loss. That's on me. This last contract that I had that I terminated with my business, we unfortunately had to terminate a contract with a client that, like, I looked back, and instead of getting mad about the situation, from the perspective of them putting something on me, I looked at it as I made the mistake, right? So I accepted the situation and I put myself in a worse position. And so I'm not mad at them, and I'm not mad at how things transpired. Like I go after myself. That loss is mine. I own that loss. Nobody else gets to claim it. I don't get to put that loss on anybody else. So I understand that my thought process is different than most people. Like, I don't want to put the blame on somebody else. I'm not going to blame Uber and Lyft for me sticking to rideshare for 6 months too long. No, that shit's on me. I made that decision. Good, bad, or indifferent, I can't do anything about it now except for keep moving forward and make better decisions moving forward. So, for everybody out there that's in this whole, gig economy, it's not going to stay the same. So if you're looking for stability, I fucking beg you, if you are looking for stability, look elsewhere than the gig economy. Like, I am begging you from the bottom of my fucking heart to look for something different, because what you're looking for is not here. It's a fucking struggle. It's going to be a grind. You're going to have some of the worst days of your fucking life doing this. And at the same time, you're going to have some of the best days of your life. But you've got to be willing to accept both. You can't be looking to the government to cushion the bad days. You got to own them. Honestly, I would love to fucking, eat my cake, and I would love the upside of everything with no downside. I would love that. It's not based in reality, though. Like, the world that we live in, like, to be, self-employed, to be an independent contractor, to be a subcontractor, to own a business, to be an entrepreneur, to get into a startup environment. These are fucking ugly places to be. And it's not for somebody looking for a fucking stable lifestyle. It's just not. I understand people want it to be that. It's just not. Like, right now, here's a crazy statistic. Over 50% of the people that are active on the Uber platform right now drive 10 or less hours per week. Let that one sink in real quick. Over 50% of the active drivers on the Uber platform drive 10 or less hours per week. Do you know why they're not really fighting this I don't know, it's like Dimax, or I don't know the name of it, but do you understand why they're not fighting as hard against, this legislation in California? Because they've been working on a solution before the decision was ever even made. They're bringing in a different type of rideshare driver that's not dependent upon them. They just want a hell of a lot more of those. So, I don't know what Uber and Lyft are going to do in California. I know that they will not allow, government regulations to hamper their ability to make money. So if they cannot adapt in some which way, then, I don't think Dara will take the same path as Travis did. Travis had no problem shutting off the fucking app. Travis did it many times. Oh, city doesn't want us to operate, or you want to put like all kinds of crazy burden regulations on us. Cool, we'll just shut off the app and we'll turn the people against you. Like, that was Travis's mentality. Dara is a little bit more polished. He's a little bit more political, if you will. He wants to find some common ground where he can. But I guarantee you, if they get pushed into a corner and the bottom line is just getting redder and redder in California, then they're going to have to make a business decision there. What's that business decision? I don't know. They can completely change the game in California and how rideshare is. And, it could be the first state in the United States where, your time online is capped and you'll literally be kicked offline once you reach your time period. Will it happen? I don't know. Could. So I know I went in a ton of different directions in this episode, but the message is rideshare and the gig economy is an ugly fucking place to be in 2019. Technically, it's always been an ugly place to be. Find out how it can best work for you and plan for the future. Plan to not have it. As long as you constantly think that you're going to lose it, You're constantly looking for better opportunities. Like if you're older, so here's a real situation, and this was the one I'm going to end on. If you're an older person that is facing real age discrimination in the job market, I think it's very fucking real. The internet doesn't give a fuck how old you are. If you've got a voice, if you've got a thought, if you've got a hobby, get on the fucking internet and start getting traction and start getting paid for it. The internet doesn't care how fucking old you are. If your content is good enough, people will consume it. And when people consume your content, companies will pay you to advertise on your content because of people loving your content. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I am sorry if it got a little heated, if I got a little passionate, if I threw an F-bomb or 2 or 5 or 10. But if you found any value in this, please like, subscribe, share, or any of that cool stuff. And you guys have a great day.